Ever feel like you kind of just fell into what you were meant to be doing? That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from today's deep dive. We're digging into The Asteroid Hunter by Dante Lauretta, the mastermind behind the OSIRIS-REx mission to asteroid Bennu.
Yeah, it's really a wild ride from, flipping burgers at a diner to leading this billion-dollar mission to maybe save the world. And I think along the way, we get a front row seat to this world of planetary science and this search for what are the building blocks of life, really?
Okay, so picture this. Headlines everywhere talking about an asteroid the size of the Empire State Building. And it's heading straight for Earth.
Yeah, total panic.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing about asteroids, I think, is that they really capture our imaginations with this exciting mix of danger and also, discovery. And Bennu, as Loretta describes it, is a perfect example. It has this very, very small chance of hitting Earth in 2182.
Okay, but if we're pitching this as a movie,
Right.
not to make light of a potential planetary crisis or anything, guy who started at a diner tries to stop doomsday asteroid. That's a tough sell.
And that's actually what makes Loretta's story so interesting.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from this unlikely hero part at all.
He really doesn't.
He even talks about how when he was growing up, college really wasn't even on his mind. It seemed like something that other people did.
Yeah. You know that feeling.
Yeah.
It's relatable, right?
Yeah.
That, is there something else out there? Am I meant to be doing something else? But you have no idea where to start.
Absolutely. And for Loretta, his aha moment, his light bulb moment, was pure chance.
Really?
He was already in college working at a diner to, make some money when he just happened to see this NASA job ad
Wow.
in the student newspaper.
Really?
And he just applied on a whim,
Wow.
not even thinking anything would come of it.
Wait, so he wasn't even like gunning for NASA from day one. What was the ad for? Like building spaceships?
Not quite. It was actually for SETI,
SETI.
the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So talk about a very different kind of space exploration.
Okay, hold on. Aliens. Asteroids.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I can already tell this is going to be one of those, how is this even the same career path situation?
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. It really wasn't a straight line for Loretta at all.
Yeah.
He just followed what he was curious about, even when it took him to some strange places, And that's really what eventually led him to becoming a, top asteroid hunter.
So we've got this future diner chef applying for alien hunting gigs at NASA.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Right.
Where does Bennu even come into all this?
Yeah, so that's where things get even more interesting. So remember we were saying earlier how asteroids are like cosmic time capsules?
Yeah.
Turns out that is not just some kitschy saying.
Okay.
Loretta really digs deep into why understanding these space rocks is so important for understanding, everything.
Yeah, break it down for me. We've all seen Armageddon, but what's the big deal about asteroids, really?
Okay, imagine the early solar system.
Okay.
Like way back when, billions of years ago, right? Total chaos.
Oh, yeah?
Dust and gas swirling around, clumping together.
Yeah.
Asteroids, they're like the leftovers from that whole wild time, relatively unchanged, for billions of years.
So like finding a perfectly preserved, slice of birthday cake from when you were a kid?
Yeah.
But instead of frosting and sprinkles, it's cosmic dust?
Exactly.
And maybe, just maybe, the ingredients for life itself.
Yeah. And Bennu is particularly interesting because it's this type of asteroid. It's called a carbonaceous chondrite,
Okay.
which is a big fancy word that means it's really rich in carbon, which, as we know, carbon is like the backbone of life as we know it.
So not just any old space rock. This one could have the secrets to how we got here.
Exactly.
Wow. But, Loretta's path to all these secrets wasn't exactly smooth sailing.
Right.
He talks about this big setback early on in his career,
Yeah.
the Mars Observer mission.
Oh, yeah. That was a tough one for everyone in the space world.
Yeah.
Years of work. Hundreds of millions of dollars poured into this thing.
Yeah.
And just when the spacecraft is about to get to Mars, they lose contact.
Oh, no.
It's gone, just like that.
I can't even imagine putting so much of yourself into something and then just having it, vanish into thin air. Or I guess vanish into the vacuum of space.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the challenges and the risks that come with, trying to explore space.
For sure.
But it also shows how tough scientists like Loretta are.
Yeah.
They get back up, they figure out what went wrong, and they just keep going.
Yeah. And speaking of perseverance,
Yeah.
he had another pretty intense experience.
Yeah.
Witnessing the Shoemaker-Levy 9 comet.
Ah, yes.
Smashing into Jupiter back in 1994. He calls it a real wake-up call. seeing the destructive power of these things up close.
Can you imagine seeing those comet fragments?
Oh, yeah.
Each one bigger than Mount Everest.
Oh, wow.
Just slamming into Jupiter's atmosphere,
Oh, man.
creating these massive dark spots that you could even see with a regular telescope.
I mean, that's not just a wake-up call. That's like a full-on air raid siren.
Yeah.
Right? Makes you realize these asteroids, they're cool, but they're also a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. And it's that, I don't know what to call it, that double-sided nature, the potential for both danger and for, like, incredible discovery.
Yeah.
That makes Lauretta's work so fascinating to me. It's about understanding these objects, not just to, survive, but also to try and figure out where we came from.
So Loretta's got this passion for asteroids.
Yeah.
Driven by, scientific curiosity.
Yeah.
But also this sense of responsibility, like we got to learn about this.
Right.
But he's also got this massive challenge ahead of him.
Yeah.
How do you convince NASA to fund a mission to Bennu, this potentially dangerous asteroid that's also, like we've been saying, scientific goldmine?
Right.
So we've got this passion, the potential for disaster, the scientific mysteries, but the passion doesn't exactly pay for rockets, right?
Yeah.
Getting a mission like OSIRIS-REx off the ground, that's a whole other challenge.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Loretta doesn't try to hide that at all. He talks about decades even.
Right.
Of proposals and rejections and fighting for funding. At one point, they even shelved the mission because they didn't have the money.
Wow. Can you imagine
Yeah.
spending years of your life on this one project, this dream of reaching out and touching an asteroid, and then somebody says, nope, not important enough?
It really says a lot about his dedication and the whole team's dedication that they didn't give up.
I bet.
They reworked things, found a new approach, got some international partners, and eventually it paid off.
Okay, but even with the money, you're still talking about landing a spacecraft on an asteroid that's spinning millions of miles away.
Yeah.
That's got to be like hitting a bullseye on a dartboard in a hurricane while you're riding a unicycle.
It's a pretty good comparison. Loretta really gets into the technical hurdles they had to get past.
Yeah.
Bennu surface, for example, it turned out to be way more rugged than they expected. It's covered in these boulders the size of houses.
Oh, wow. Talk about a nasty surprise. How do you even design a spacecraft to deal with that?
It was this constant back and forth, adapting and inventing. They had to come up with new ways to navigate, new imaging systems, even new ways to collect samples in Bennu's low gravity.
And on top of that, they were dealing with a global pandemic.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part.
That must have been, to put it mildly, interesting.
And to their credit, they managed to make it work.
Yeah.
The pandemic actually brings up another interesting thing about this mission, international cooperation. They couldn't really travel, so scientists and engineers all over the world had to find new ways to work together.
You mentioned international partners before. Didn't Loretta also work with the Japanese Space Agency? JAXA. Didn't they have their own asteroid sample return?
Yeah.
Hayabusa 2?
It's a great example of how different countries can bring their own special skills to achieve a common scientific goal. Both missions were going after carbon-rich asteroids, those time capsules we were talking about, but they went about it in different ways, using current tech, like Hayabusa 2 sent out these little rovers to check out the surface of Ryugu, its target asteroid.
So you have these two missions happening at the same time, both pushing the limits of space exploration, and we end up with a much better understanding of, what's around us out there. That's incredible.
It really is. It shows that human need to explore, to find our place.
Yeah.
But it's not just about these big ideas. It's about the human stories of everyone involved, the stuff they had to overcome, the sacrifices they made, and in the end, that thrill of discovering something new.
And speaking of discovery, we can't forget about that moment of truth, the sample return. After all those years of planning, all those technical problems, this little capsule carrying a piece of Bennu falls down into the Utah desert.
Loretta said it was pure joy and relief.
Yeah.
But also this really deep feeling of awe. It was like getting a present from the beginning of, well, everything. This real, tangible link to the very beginning of our solar system.
He also talks about holding this vial of dust from the asteroid and thinking about how those little pieces have been floating around in space for billions of years, and now they're in his hand. It makes you wonder, what else is out there? What other mysteries is the universe holding on to?
That's a question Loretta keeps coming back to in the book.
Yeah.
And it stays with you long after you finish reading. It reminds you that we're barely scratching the surface of what's out there.
So we've gone from flipping burgers to hunting asteroids,
Yeah.
close calls to amazing discoveries. from the birth of the solar system to the forefront of space exploration. It's pretty wild.
For sure. And like a good deep dive should, it gives us more questions than answers.
Right.
This feeling of wonder about how enormous space is and what secrets it's hiding. And it makes you appreciate human curiosity and how clever we can be.